Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to Abnormal Voyages. My name is David, and as you can see from the sign right behind me, we are in Hollywood, here in California, where movie magic is made. Come tag along with us as we explore some of the most iconic sights of this iconic city.
We're going to a place that you've never heard of before. It's Abnormal Voyages. You're gonna learn something new. We're gonna open new doors. It's Abnormal Voyages.
Something very iconic in Hollywood is the Hollywood Walk of Fame. There are currently 2,752 stars, all spread out over 15 blocks, honoring famous individuals in the entertainment industry. The 5 categories you can be recognized for on the Walk of Fame are motion pictures, broadcast television, audio recording / music, broadcast radio, and theater and live performance. Now we begin our Hollywood voyage by getting some breakfast at Roscoe's, famous for their chicken and waffles. Roscoe's opened in 1975 and soon after became an LA institution. Celebrities and normal people alike loved it. But let's check in with Blake to see what he thinks about it.
Now it's time to try world famous chicken and waffles. We have the Sco's #1. It's 2 pieces of chicken and a waffle. So we're just gonna spread all that butter on there first. Maybe a little bit too much butter, but let's see what we got. Some of that on there. And put a little bit of that on there. So we'll do the waffle first. Bottoms up. Even without the chicken, this is a good waffle. Putting Waffle House to shame right here with just that waffle alone. Alright, let's try a little bit of chicken, get the full effect. Oh my god. Wow. Alright, now forget about the waffle, the chicken's the best part of this whole thing right here. Yeah, it's just a good sweet and salty mixture. I mean, I've had chicken and waffles a lot of places, but this takes the cake right here. This is definitely getting 5 stars out of 5 from me.
Now, what place says Hollywood better than Hollywood Boulevard? Behind me is a building you might recognize. This is the famous Grauman's Chinese Theater. Let's go check it out. This iconic theater opened in 1927 and is possibly one of the most famous theaters in the entire world. As you can see, they're getting ready for the world premiere of Creed 3, but lots of famous movies have had their premiere here, including the very first Star Wars movie. The theming of Chinese theater is prevalent throughout the courtyard and the theater itself. And while the architecture is certainly eye-catching, that's not all they're famous for here. Of course, one of the most famous famous traditions in Hollywood, here in the Chinese Theater courtyard is where celebrities are remembered forever by placing their handprints and footprints into the cement. This is where actors from all over mingle. We have Samuel L. Jackson right here, and then right next to him, Mr. Adam Sandler, and one that I want to point out to you, one of my personal heroes, the late and great Robin Williams. This is a veritable who's who of celebrities in Hollywood. You have footprints stretching all the way back to the 1930s up to present day. If you are any kind of fan of movies, chances are you're going to see one of your favorite actors immortalized here in the courtyard. There are even some special ones like this here that has the main cast of The Hunger Games. And then you can even see Sid Grauman himself back in 1946 putting his own handprints right here at his theater. It's almost hard to believe that all these people graced this courtyard where you're standing getting to look down on this. It's also honestly a great reminder that even though you see them on the bigger-than-life screens, celebrities and actors are people just like you and me. Now, I'm a bigger fan of Star Wars, but I have to admit this was really cool to see. This was honoring the anniversary of Star Trek and had as many surviving original cast members as they could, all here on this big slab. But my absolute favorite special one is right here above Stan Lee, very appropriately, the original Avengers. All of them have their handprints in place and even a symbol representing the individual heroes that they portrayed on screen. And of course, we couldn't visit the Chinese theater without coming inside. We're now right here inside this legendary location, and they've got some pretty cool stuff to check out. Let's take a quick look around. In the lobby area, you can see some real Hollywood treasures, such as this outfit that was worn in the timeless Gone with the Wind. Not too far away, you might recognize this from Miss Marilyn Monroe. But one of the most famous pieces on display here is probably this dress that was worn by Judy Garland for screen testing of The Wizard of Oz, which also premiered here at the Chinese Theater. Being the place where Star Wars premiered, it just makes sense that you could find Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi robes on display. And my personal favorite superhero, Spider-Man. This is the costume that was worn for Spider-Man 3. Now for something that may be one of the coolest experiences I've had so far, was private access to the actual heart of the theater itself. This massive cathedral to movies seats almost 1,000 people and is absolutely gorgeous. so much incredible history happened right here in this theater. I could stay here all day, but we have so much more of Hollywood to see. Let's go. Now, speaking of theaters, another famous one nearby is the El Capitan, owned by the Disney Corporation, and where all the big Disney movies get their premieres now. Located right next to the El Capitan Theater, outside we have the Disneyland Star, celebrating 50 years of Disneyland. And a very fun store, the Disney Studio Store, combined with a Ghirardelli chocolate shop. Inside there are tons of Hollywood-themed items celebrating Goofy, Donald, Daisy, Minnie Mouse, and of course, Mickey Mouse. I really like this shirt with the El Capitan Theater sign and Minnie and Mickey on the sides of it. It really pops. The Disney Studio Store is hardly the only unique store here on Hollywood Boulevard, however. We don't have time for all of them, but I wanted to show you one more. And here we're in a very unique store right on Hollywood Boulevard, the Line Friends store that celebrates all things BTS. Just in case you don't know, BTS is a K-pop group that is probably the most famous band in the world currently. All these characters represent one of the members of the band, and altogether the line is called BT21. So, I personally don't know a whole bunch about K-pop, but my sisters assure me that this is a very big thing to do when you're here, is to put your hands in the hands of BTS. They have these all around. They may not be out on the Walk of Fame on the street, but their fans come in here in droves. So let's see, this is Suga, I guess. So put your hands there. All right. And then Jungkook. And his quote down here says, "Think you figured me out. Think twice." I don't know what that means, but it sounds pretty cool. You can find these all around from every single member. And I gotta say, everybody in here seems very happy to be here. Collectively, BTS fans call themselves ARMY, so it makes sense that there's plenty of people to come and visit this store. Now it's starting to get late, but we have one more place to visit. Welcome to Musso and Frank's, the oldest restaurant in Hollywood, and a place that truly serves up food fit for a star. We are now inside, and I've got to give you a tip. Make sure you make reservations if you want to dine here. Not only is it the oldest restaurant in Hollywood, but possibly the most famous. There has been so many stars within these walls, everybody wants to eat here. It's so famous that the city has even proclaimed an official day dedicated to this restaurant. Now, there's definitely an extensive menu, lots of delicious choices, but I have my mind on one in particular that has a fantastic story behind it. Stay tuned and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Everything here had perfect little touches and managed to be fancy without going overboard. Now, for the comfort of their guest, Musso and Frank's does request that you don't film too much inside, so we decided to honor this request, and the rest of this will just be in pictures that I talk about. Now, the story I want to tell you is about these two right here, Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford. They were beloved movie stars of their time, and Musso and Frank's happened to be one of their all-time favorite restaurants. Now, after they were married, they honeymooned in Rome. While there, they happened upon a restaurant that was owned by Chef Alfredo Di Lelio. Now, as you may have guessed by his name, this man was the creator of Fettuccine Alfredo. the two actors fell in love with the dish and insisted that they have the recipe. Alfredo was very hesitant and didn't want to give it out at first, but eventually they convinced him, and he wrote out the original recipe for fettuccine alfredo, which they took back with them and brought to their favorite restaurant, Musso and Frank's, where fettuccine alfredo was recreated for these two stars. Today, the fettuccine alfredo here is still made with that original recipe and is as close as you can get to the very first dish. With a history like that, you know I had to try it, and man, was it delicious. It was certainly unique and didn't taste like any fettuccine alfredo I'd ever had before, but I would gladly order this again. Then, as the dessert menu came around, I was told of another story where they had a very famous item from another very famous individual. It would appear Frank Sinatra loved his cheesecake so much from New York City that he insisted they find a way to get it here closer to him in LA. Eventually, they were able to whip up a cheesecake that met his standards, and that too was left on the menu. Usually, I'm actually not one for cheesecake, but I made an exception for this, and I am so glad that I did. I left feeling stuffed, but it was definitely worth it.
Well, that was absolutely delicious. And I got an audition to get to, so this is where we leave you for today, adventurers. My name is David, and this has been Abnormal Voyages. If you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below where you think we should go next. If you're interested in getting a postcard every single month, join our Patreon. We'll see you next time.